The 2019 SBE National Membership Meeting webcast is brought to you by the generous financial support of these SBE sustaining members. Blackmagic Design, leading the creative video revolution. Comark. Comark provides DTV transmitters encoding and integration for ATSC 3.0. Dielectric, trusted for decades, ready for tomorrow. Drake Lighting, never alone in the dark. DVEO, top-tier broadcast products at excellent prices. JamPro, when you want more than just an antenna. Ross Video, living live. Shively, supporting FM broadcasters for more than 50 years. The following is a special presentation of the Society of Broadcast Engineers.
I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the annual membership meeting of the Society of Broadcast Engineers. We welcome those of you attending the national meeting here in Madison, Wisconsin, and those of you joining us via our live webcast. First thing I'd like to do is take this opportunity to recognize a number of members and guests with us here today. We have 4 members attending this week who have served this organization as national president. Gentlemen, please stand when I introduce you. Our immediate past president, Jerry Massey, who served as president from 2015 to 2017. Ralph Hogan of Tempe, Arizona, who served as president from 2011 to 2013. From Syracuse, New York, Vinny Lopez, who was president from 2009 to 2011. And Chris Scheer of Overland Park, Kansas, who served as president from 2005 to 2007. We thank all of you for your leadership and service to the Society. Oh, I also want to make one more, Chuck Kelly, who is here. He wasn't in my script notes, but I wanted to single him out especially for one reason. Today is one of our former past president's birthday. Happy birthday. We're also pleased to have with us today Chris Imlay, our general counsel. He has served the Society for 39 years, and he's based out of Silver Springs, Maryland. Chris, please stand so we can recognize you. We're very happy to have as our event host this year the Broadcast Clinic presented by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and the 4 SBE chapters of Wisconsin. Serving as chair of the program committee of the Broadcast Clinic this year is Kent Aschenberger. The chairs of the 4 chapters are Brittany Williams of Chapter 24 Madison, Chris Tarr, Chapter 28 Milwaukee, Steve Brown, Chapter 80 Fox Valley, and Todd Schernitz of Western Wisconsin. Would you all please stand so we may recognize you? Thank you. With us today from the WBA is the person who works with the program committee and who handles all the behind-the-scenes details to make this event possible. Vice President of Administration and former SBE Certification Director, Linda Vaughn. Linda, thank you for all your efforts and the support of the WBA Board and President Michelle Vetterkun to help make the SBE National Meeting a success. So please stand so we may recognize you. And I think they're still next door. So they're standing next door. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce members of the National SBE staff who are with us here this week. Education Director Kathy Orose. Frequency Coordination Manager RJ Russell. Member Communications Director Chris Scherer. Certifications Director Megan Clapp. And Executive Director John Perret. Thank you all. Now, just like any formal meeting, we do have to conduct some business. So I would like to introduce our SBE Secretary, Kevin Trueblood, who will deliver his report. Kevin?
All right. Since the membership meeting last April in Las Vegas, the Society of Broadcast Engineers conducted an executive committee meeting back on June 22nd in Indianapolis, and the fall meeting of the Board of Directors was held last night here in Madison. The next meeting of the executive committee will take place January 25th, 2020 in Orlando, and the full board is scheduled to meet on Sunday, April 19th in Las Vegas during the 2020 NAB show. SBE membership on September 30th, 2019 was 4,461 members, which was 102 fewer than the same point in 2018. The high point of membership each year is on June 30th, just before non-renewing members are dropped on July 1st. The membership count on June 30th, 2019 was 4,987. The Society has 115 chapters, with 113 in the United States and 2 in Hong Kong. Members are located in every U.S. state, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Guam, and 25 other countries. We do welcome a new chapter, Chapter 106, the Panhandle, which was granted a charter last night by the Board of Directors. The chapter covers the western panhandle of Florida and parts of southern Alabama and Georgia. There's also another chapter in the process of forming in Arkansas. The Society conducted the annual election of 6 of the 12 directors for the National Board of Directors and all 4 officers this past summer, which concluded on August 28th. Those elected will be inducted later during this meeting. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kevin. And now for the money part. Our treasurer, Ted Hand, is up next with his report.
At the end of September 2019, SBE had a total assets of $1,356,444. SBE's assets include $1,339,691 in bank and investment accounts. The remaining assets consist of $16,753 in office furniture, equipment, and intangible assets. SBE has no debt. Thus far during 2019, the SBE has experienced gain in long-term investments and operating revenue that has exceeded expenses. Through September 30th, the SBE had a net revenue from all sources of $365,594, which is more than $72,000 ahead of budget. SBE savings per the Society's board approval financial policy are designed for maintaining financial stability, revenue production, capital improvements, and projects that benefit the Society membership and for rainy day needs. Mr. President, this concludes my report.
Membership activity, growth, and retention are important functions of the SBE. To bring us an update on just a few of the membership-related activities is Membership Committee Chair Steve Brown. Steve?
The annual membership drive began March 1st and concluded on May 31st. The theme this year was Invest in Yourself, Invest in Your Future. 13 companies and the SBE donated prizes as incentive to recruiters. The drive resulted in 59 new members recruited, and they were sponsored by 50 current members. The sponsors represented 32 different chapters. From all the recruiters, one member's name was drawn for the grand prize, which was a trip to this SBE national meeting. Unfortunately, the winner, Paul Jawuzak of Anchorage, Alaska, was not able to make the trip and instead will receive the $500 cash prize. Of the 32 chapters represented by the recruiters, we recognize 2 of them tonight with the Golden Recruiter Award. Like other chapter awards, there are 2 classes which represent chapter membership above and below the chapter median membership. For Class A chapters with membership less than the median, the Golden Recruiter Award goes to Chapter 134, Beaumont, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Wayne Azio is the chapter chair. For Class B chapters with membership greater than the median, the Golden Recruiter Award goes to Chapter 25 of Indianapolis. Roger Bishop is the chapter chair. The Ennis Educational Foundation Trust has awarded 4 scholarships for 2019. Winners were chosen from applications received over a 12-month period ending July 1st. The Harold E. Ennis Scholarship, Robert D. Greenberg Scholarship, and John H. Battison Founders Scholarship are awarded to individuals interested in continuing or beginning their education in broadcast engineering and technology. The Youth Scholarship is specifically for a graduating high school senior interested in a broadcast engineering career. Each scholarship awarded this year is for $1,500. All of the recipients are attending school, so are unable to join us, but we want to recognize them. The Harold E. Ennis Scholarship recipient is Nicholas Church of Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Receiving the Robert Greenberg Scholarship is Chris Gamelin of Middletown, Connecticut. The John H. Battison SBE Founders Scholarship has been awarded to Sadie Levy of New York City. Andrew Marcus Heller of Two Rivers, Wisconsin, received the Youth Scholarship. The SBE is in its 3rd year of conducting its mentor program. This program is open to the SBE members and is free. This year, 39 mentors are working with 34 mentees from across the U.S. Mentees and their mentors are able to take advantage of a quarterly special SBE webinar produced just for the mentor program. And they also receive a monthly mentor program e-newsletter. Participants have said how the program has not only benefited the mentee, but also the mentor. National Board Member Chris Tarr of Chapter 28, Milwaukee, is the chair of the Mentor Committee. If you would like more information or want to sign up, you could also take part as a mentee or a mentor. Just contact Chris or Kathy Oroz at the SBE National Office. Secretary Trueblood mentioned earlier the formation of Chapter 106, taking in the western Florida Panhandle and parts of southern Georgia and Alabama. The new chapter is chaired by Mark Johnson, and we're pleased to have Mark here today. Mark, could you please stand so we could recognize you? Each year, the SBE encourages all chapters to recognize one of their own with the SBE Chapter Engineer of the Year Award. The National SBE provides a plaque for the chapter to present and publishes photos of each recipient in an issue of the Signal. In 2019, 7 chapters selected recipients, and we'd like to share the names of the recipients with you today. Chapter 16, Seattle, Alex Brewster, CBRE, CBNT. Chapter 32, Tucson, Arizona, John Gold, CSTE. Chapter 38, El Paso, Texas, David Halperin, CBRE. Chapter 59, Kansas City, John Gray. Chapter 70, Northeast Ohio, Robert Leskovic. Chapter 78, Blue Ridge area of Virginia, Paxton Durham. And Chapter 80, Fox Valley, Wisconsin, Stuart Muck, CBRE. We congratulate all of these members and encourage other chapters to participate next year by recognizing a local member for their contributions or achievements. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve. To bring us up to date on the latest SBE certification program, please welcome Certification Committee Chair Ralph Hogan.
I would like to acknowledge the members of the National Certification Committee who volunteer their time to ensure that the certification program is continuously updated. Chris Alexander, Jim Bernier, Dane Erickson, Doug Garlinger, Hal Neller, Troy Pennington, David Priester, Rick Ryan, Joe Snelson, and Larry Wilkins. I would also like to thank the local certification chairmen at each of the chapters for volunteering their time to the certification program. The certification committee met yesterday afternoon. On the agenda was the update on the ATSC 3 specialist certification. We're currently in beta testing of the new certification to evaluate the suitability of the questions in the database. Once the beta testing is complete, the committee will review the results and make necessary adjustments. We plan to have the specialist certification cert preview available in the near future. In the meantime, there's a list of the ATSC standards that are included in the ATSC 3 exam available on the SBE website. Once the test is available, we will announce it and the applications will become available. And speaking of testing, there are 5 scheduled exam opportunities in 2020. And I would encourage you to become certified or upgrade your current certification to the next level. Mr. President, that completes my report.
Thank you, Ralph. To keep pace with changes in technology, it is important for all of us to take advantage of continuing education opportunities. One of the primary purposes of the SBE is to provide opportunities to our members that will help increase their knowledge within the broadcast and multimedia fields. We do this through the efforts of our local chapters and through the national SBE. Here with an update on the Society's National Education Program is Wayne Pacina, Chair of the Education Committee. Wayne?
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to bring greetings from your Education Committee. We've had a busy year with over 18 new webinars that have been introduced, adding to a library that now exceeds 80 some odd webinars. With that, over 2,700 registrations have occurred for that content. And of course, the year is not over yet, with several other webinars on the schedule to occur. A few I'd like to call your attention to. The RF 201 or Advanced RF series continues. The ATSC 3 webinar series continues, as well as now the TechCon ATSC 3 videos are available as webinar content. And of course, all of these are available to you for free with the Member Plus option. We have one remaining Ennis Regional Workshop coming up in Lansing, Michigan next month. And also remind you, 2020 is not that far away, and the Saturday Ennis Workshop during the NAB conference. In closing, I'd like to simply thank you for your support, as this is my last Education Committee report. As I step aside, I thank you personally for your support that you've shown me. I also would thank you for the support you've shown the Education Committee in our programs, and I trust that will continue. Finally, we need your help. We need your feedback. We need your comment. Sure, it's great to hear a kudo for what we're doing, but more importantly, we need to know what we need to do better. We need to know what we need to do to meet your professional development and education needs. Mr. President, that concludes my report. And with that, we're going to change gears a little bit for our program and move to a special segment. Earlier this year, the SBE began to provide support for our local frequency coordinators and the U.S. Department of Defense, as broadcasters in the military now share a portion of the broadcast auxiliary spectrum. SBE President Jim Leifer is joined now by the new National Frequency Coordinator Manager, R.J. Russell, to talk about the work R.J. is doing on SBE's behalf and SBE's new role in the frequency coordination role. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks, RJ, for taking on this role. I wanted to kind of go through a little bit of how we got here. So why don't we just start with that?
Certainly. So NTIA decided to auction off 1.8 gigahertz, which was occupied by Department of Defense, and needed to find them a new home. So they moved them into and made them co-primary of the 2 gigahertz BAS ENG that we're all familiar with. We need to think of them as we are user A, they are user B. So, and that's where we got started with all of this.
So this has been going on for a couple of years now. We've now are in alignment with the DoD. How does the SBE move forward with this program?
So there are a list of priority markets that we're starting with that will actually be part of the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding that will exist between SBE, NAB, and the DoD. And there are 4 systems that they will be moving into this spectrum. The first one is tactical radio relay. This is very much like our ENG. The difference is that it's both transmit and receive are field deployable. Occupied bandwidth is 3 megahertz, so it's very easy to fit this into our existing channel plan. So what we've started doing in a lot of markets, especially the priority markets, is actually evaluating the existing home channel plan and trying to find them a home channel to use. In most cases, what we've done, because the transmit and receive radios that they use need 50 megahertz of separation, we've been creating a split home channel for them using A1 lower and A7 upper. The next system that will move into this band are SUAS drones. I know a lot of people think DoD, think drones, they're thinking of these big Predator drones. No, these are hand-launched drones. These are very much similar to what broadcasters are currently using as drones. Their occupied bandwidth is 5 megahertz, and again, be pretty easy to coordinate into the existing band plan. We have not started really coordinating those beyond testing at this point because before we can integrate them, they have to be defined, all the operational parameters, and they've got to be part of the MOU. And that's what we're working on next with that. There are 2 other systems that we're still waiting to see a lot more of, TTNT, which is a tactical network targeting system, and then a HRV, high resolution video system. We don't know anything about these. We haven't seen any operating parameters of these yet, but they will be the next things that come. The last part that we're also integrating is satellite uplinks for DoD that will be in the 2 gigahertz band. These have actually, we've integrated about or coordinated approximately 10 of these sites already nationwide in specific markets. These uplinks only use 2 megahertz of occupied bandwidth. And if we think about a traditional BAS use of the spectrum, if you're not using split channel, if you're not using offsets, we're talking about an 8 megahertz or 10 megahertz pedestal. So what we've been doing with these satellite uplinks is actually putting them on the channel edge. So their center frequency is actually what we would see as an edge frequency in our channel plans. So they've been working really well and moving that forward pretty well.
So if I'm in a market and I haven't heard from you, or I don't have a frequency coordinator, what am I going to see this happen?
Not every market, absolutely, but I would say the majority of markets, especially if we talk about the Army's version of the tactical radio relay system, because that's also deployed by the National Guard, and everybody has a National Guard unit. But yeah, so if you haven't heard from me, if you haven't heard from your local coordinator, or if you don't have a local coordinator, you definitely will be hearing from us. But with that being said, we really want to take this opportunity to talk to our chapter chairs and our chapter members about the opportunity to serve as a local frequency coordinator. We have several that have retired. We do not have people stepping into those roles. We would love to see you step into these roles. And as part of this program, we built into it a modest stipend that we'll be able to start offering to all of our frequency coordinators, all the way across the country, whether they are above 1 gig or below 1 gig. All of them will be available for, all of them will be eligible for this stipend.
What other forecast do you expect for 2020 to happen with this program now that we've launched it?
I think we'll see some rapid growth, and we're going to continue to see a lot of prior coordination efforts, so home channel plans for existing markets. And we do understand that that's not going to be work in every market. We have an instance already where we coordinated Redstone Arsenal, and this was specifically for them to do some drone testing with, and there were no available channels in that area because there's still a lot of fixed links on 2 gigahertz in that particular area. So in that case, what we designated is we designated a primary and a secondary share station with the DoD, that they will reach out to that primary station and then the secondary station and do real-time coordination efforts. Part of this coordination as well is that we require a stop buzzer contact for all of their operations. So even in these markets where we've pre-coordinated and given them a home channel, they will still be required to notify us and or the local frequency coordinator 24 hours before they start operations, so that we know they're out there, we know they're out there using the spectrum, and if we see an issue, we have a path to call them, verify that they're transmitting, and try to mitigate the interference as quickly as possible.
So for the existing frequency coordinators in markets, we're going to be able to do a stipends. For the markets that don't have a frequency coordinator, now is the time that if they have the interest, now's the time to get a hold of you or someone at the SBE office to express their interest.
Absolutely.
What other messages would you like to tell the membership?
So I would say, I'm sure everybody thinks DoD and thinks big and scary. I can tell you, and you can also speak to our General Counsel, Chris Imlay, on this. We have found the DoD to be fantastic sharing coordinators, sharing members of the spectrum. They're very, very interested in working with us. And the other thing is, and I think anybody that's involved with 2 gigahertz BAS understands this and knows this, that we see interference from time to time that we can't explain, we can't figure out. And we as broadcasters don't necessarily have the resources to get out and find this interference and find the source of this interference. DoD is very interested in helping us with that and have offered in multiple places, in particular Southern California, because there's a lot of government contractors out there that just kind of do whatever they want to do. And when we pointed out to the DoD that that was going to be an area that was going to be hard to coordinate, what can you do to kind of help and pave the way for you to be able to use a spectrum? And we told them about this. One particular case was Customs and Border Protection were using the spectrum because they assumed that this co-share included them. We let the DoD know what was going on, and that operation got shut down very, very quickly.
So we'll do a little role play here. I'm in market X. My E&G truck can't get a signal. I'm obviously getting interference. Do I call you?
No, in that case, like I said, you have the stop buzzer contact. If the DoD is in there, we have a stop buzzer contact. Now, with that being said, I did send a note out, and we will be talking about this more, But NAB over the last 5 years has been developing an interference portal that deals with FCC interference, with frequency interference. We just got kind of filled in on this late last week. That's why we haven't communicated much about it yet. But it was the FCC's way to address the cutbacks in their enforcement teams. So we now have a mechanism for reporting interference that I know Bob Weller has been deeply involved with, who is the Vice President of Spectrum Policy at NAB, and we believe that it'll be a really good tool for all broadcasters.
All right, thank you. I do want to say one thing. RJ was my vice president, and I appreciated everything. He resigned his position so he could take this position on, and I just personally wanted to say thank you for you stepping aside so you could take this on behalf of the SBE, and we appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, RJ and Jim. If you have questions for RJ about the broadcaster's shared use of frequencies with the Department of Defense, you can reach him at rjrussell@sbe.org. I believe it's yours, right? All right, back to you.
Back to me. All right, this is where I go off script. These are what they call the President's final comments. It's been a fun 2 years. I've had some great board members. RJ was one of them, and I could list them all, but I think most of you know them. If you don't, you should get to know them. They've done a lot. This is a unpaid position. The work is a lot. We had a strategic planning meeting right before I took office. Out of that meeting, we had 30 initiatives. 30 line items that we needed to address. One of them was Member Plus. That became a real thing. And an overwhelming amount of people took that opportunity to be able to get the webinars included in their member price. We've now, last night at the board meeting, we've also agreed to come up with the concept of, for the life members that wanted to be able to take the webinars to kind of stay in tune, we're going to do something called Life Plus. And for the student members, who needs the webinars more than the students? So we're going to come up with Student Plus. So that'll be under Wayne's administration to get that implemented, but the board approved that last night. That's just one thing that the board did under, alongside of me to get that done. We've been able to grow the membership. We've had some membership people retire, get out of the business, as we all know somebody that's left the business. But we've had some young people come in. So this board, through the certification committee, the membership drives, we've actually had more new members come in than we've had in quite a while. And obviously, it's our goal to continue that effort and grow it even more. As you saw through the financial report, we're in better financial shape than we've been in several years. And that's thanks to our treasurer and our finance committee and John Poiret and the whole team to allow fiscal responsibility, to make sure every penny worked well, and that we used everything to the best of our membership, and to make sure that everything worked, and it has. And then finally, my last thought was what we just talked about, the DoD relationship. On the national level platform, we're recognized by the U.S. government as the person to come to frequency coordinate. They didn't go to somebody else, they came to us. And that's the members. That's the frequency coordinators. And that was a multi-year process where they asked us to do that. So, hats off to the board for their stalwart work in getting that accomplished. It wasn't an easy feat, and there was lots of back and forth, but at the end of the day, the deal is done, and we're now able to partner with one of the biggest users of frequencies, the broadcasters, and the other big user is the DoD. And the relationship, from what RJ said, is strong. So that concludes my remarks. I've been honored to work with a dedicated group of volunteers, the board of directors, for the past year. and I want you to know that each of them has been serving the society with its primary focus is serving our members. I would like to recognize them for their efforts. 17 members of the board come across the entire United States from 12 states and 15 different chapters in their full-time jobs. They work in radio and television stations all across, as well as industry manufacturers. Please come forward as I introduce you, and I'll have the audience hold your applause until they all have assembled. Steve Brown, Appleton, Wisconsin. Roz Clark, Clearwater, Florida. Andrea Cummis, Roseland, New Jersey. Mark Faleg, Walnut Creek, California. Kirk Harnack, Nashville, Tennessee. Steve Lampin, San Francisco, California. Vinny Lopez, Syracuse, New York. Tom McGinley, Missoula, Montana. Two of our board members were unable to attend, but I do want to recognize them. Jason Ornelius, Sacramento, California, and Chris Tarr got called away on an emergency, and he's right down the street here in Wisconsin. And last but not least, Shane Tovin of Laramie, Wyoming. Serving as officers this year was Treasurer Ted Hand, Charlotte, North Carolina. Our Secretary, Kevin Trueblood, Estero, Florida. And our Vice President, Wayne Pacina, College Station, Texas. And finally, our immediate past president, Jerry Massey of Simpsonville, South Carolina. Jerry, please join us at the podium. Jerry is ending his national board service with the SBE with this meeting. He has served for 12 consecutive years on the board, as a director and later as an officer, and eventually serving as 2 terms as president. Jerry, we'd like to present you with this special plaque in recognition of your 12 years on the national board and offer our heartfelt thanks for all you have done for the SBE. You all may return to your seats. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to ask Jim to stay close here, if you would. My name's John Poirier, Executive Director of SBE, and we're going to take this opportunity to recognize Jim for his 2 years, 2 terms as President of the Society of Broadcast Engineers. As you can tell, there's been lots of accomplishments in that 2-year time, and Jim's just covered some of them, and we owe you a lot. He's not only brought his wisdom and leadership, but he's done it in a very humorous way many times, and it's just been a great opportunity to work with him. So on behalf of the Society, we'd like to recognize you, Jim, with a couple of things that you can take home with you. First of all, we have the traditional President's Plaque, and we like to say we never give the President a gavel until he's done. So there you go. Congratulations on that. Oh, all right. And one other thing we have also as a tradition, we've compiled a book of all of the SBE signals that Jim has had his articles in as president for the last 2 years. So there's 12 copies of the SBE signal in here. And also the very first page is just a list of accomplishments. So in later years, when you're looking back, you can kind of thumb back through here and kind of remember those days that you served as SBE president. So thanks again, Jim.
And I've seen the other presidents get those awards, and I completely forgot that they did that. Thank you, John. I'm glad you remembered that part. All right, now we'll continue. The annual election of the national directors and officers was conducted this past summer. Close to 1,100 ballots were cast by members. I invite our General Counsel, Chris Imlay, to come forward and preside over the installation of our new directors and officers. Chris?
Thanks, Jim.
It's always an honor for me to preside over the induction of our incoming officers and directors. I invite the following members elected in August to 2-year terms as directors to please join me at the podium. Mark Fehlig, Charles Ched Kyler, Gary Morell. Jason Ornelas was not able to be present, nor was Chris Tarr today, but we'd also like to invite Dan Wheatley up here, please. Gentlemen, you're each about to begin a period of volunteer service as a member of the Board of Directors of the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Please raise your right hands as I administer the oath of office. As a member of the Board of Directors of the Society of Broadcast Engineers, do you promise to follow and uphold its bylaws, its canons of ethics, and to represent all SBE members, and otherwise to fulfill the responsibilities of a member of the Board of Directors to the best of your ability? And if so, please respond by saying, "I will." Congratulations to all of you. Please remain up front as we continue. Andrea Kumis, Kevin Trueblood, and Ted Hand, please join us near the podium. You each have been elected by the membership of the Society of Broadcast Engineers to serve the Society for a 1-year term as Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer, respectively. Please raise your right hands as I administer the oath of office. As an officer of the Society of Broadcast Engineers, do you promise to follow and uphold its bylaws and canons of ethics, to represent all SBE members, and otherwise fulfill the responsibilities of your office to the best of your abilities? And if so, please respond by saying, "I will." Congratulations to each of you. Please also remain up front. Wayne Pacino, would you please join us at the podium? Wayne, you've been elected by the membership of the Society to serve as its president for a 1-year term. Please raise your right hand as I administer the oath of office. Do you, Wayne M. Pacina, promise to fulfill the responsibilities and duties of the office of President of the Society of Broadcast Engineers, to follow and uphold its bylaws and canons of ethics, to represent all SBE members, and otherwise fulfill the responsibilities of President of the SBE to the best of your ability? And if so, please respond by saying, "I will."
I will.
Congratulations, Wayne, and to all those elected to serve, this concludes the induction. Mr. President, the podium is yours.
Thank you, everyone. I'm certainly honored to have been elected to serve as your president for the coming year. Along with 6 other directors, will begin the 2nd year of their term, and I would like to invite them to join us at the podium as well. The members, and join with the members already assembled: Steve Brown, Roz Clark, Kirk Harnack, Vinny Lopez, Tom McGinley, and Shane Tovin. Will you please come forward? Completing the board is the immediate past president, Jim Leifer. Jim, will you join us as well? The group assembled before you has made the commitment to serve our membership by leading the society. I look forward to working with each of them individually as well with them as a group over the next year as we work to continue to provide our members with services and programs that develop professional knowledge, relationships, and strengthen careers. Election to the board means a commitment to work throughout the year, not only at the meetings, but in between meetings, during committee meetings, to serve as committee chairs and committee members. At this time, I'd like to announce the National Committee Chairs for the 2019-2020 term. When I introduce you, please raise your hand. Awards Committee, Tom McGinley. Bylaws Committee, Ched Keller. The Chapter Liaison Committee, Mark Fehlig. The Education Committee, Gary Morrow. The Finance Committee, Roz Clark. The Frequency Coordination Committee, Ted Hand. The Government Relations Committee, Kevin Trueblood. The Membership Committee, Steve Brown. The Mentoring Committee, Chris Tarr, who of course is not able to be with us. The Nominations Committee, Jim Leifer. The Publications Committee, Jason O'Neillis, who is also unable to be with us. The Social Networking Committee, Kirk Harnack. The Sustaining Membership Committee, Vinny Lopez. The Technologies Committee, Shane Toven. And the Electronic Communications Committee, Roz Clark. Ralph Hogan and Chuck Kelly, please join us at the podium. Ralph is continuing to serve as the chair of the SBE Certification Committee, and Chuck continues to chair the International Committee. Returning to the chair of the Fellows Committee is Troy Pennington, who also is unable to be with us today. I've also appointed Roz Clark and Gary Morrill to serve on the SBE Executive Committee for the next year, joining the officers and myself. My thanks to each of you for your dedication and for taking on the responsibilities in the coming year. With this important opportunity to meet our mission of making the Society of Broadcast Engineers an important contributor to the professional lives of our members. You may take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. As I began, it is an honor to serve as your 31st president. Jim Leifer has left some big shoes for me to fill, and I hope to gently slip into those shoes and hopefully not stumble as we continue several of the initiatives that really began under Jim's tenure. He had mentioned our strategic planning efforts that began over a year ago and several of the programs that resulted from that effort. Some of those you have seen evidence of now with the Web Extra meetings and so forth, but several more are still in the works, and I have the honor of seeing those, bringing those to reality. Just a couple of examples that you will hear more about is a remake of our website. That remake is more than just a new paint job. It is pretty much a under-the-hood overhaul of things. We have some enhancements for the Member Plus program that Jim mentioned, and of course, certification efforts continue as we develop the ATSC3 certification. The SBE provides many programs and services to our membership, but I think there are really three cornerstone programs. That, of course, is certification, that is professional development or our continuing education efforts, and, of course, frequency coordination. As you've just heard, frequency coordination has taken on somewhat of a new perspective with the SBE. Our industry has changed. We're certainly all very aware of that. Our industry will continue to change. It is our job as the leadership of SBE to ensure that the SBE changes as well to meet the needs of our members, whether it be through professional development or certification or programs to benefit and enhance their career. With that, as we come to a close, I'd like to thank the Wisconsin Public Television and Wisconsin Public Radio for their support of today's production. I'd also like to thank the volunteers and staff who have done an outstanding job putting this program together. For Wisconsin Public Television, Russ All, Lim DeRoff, Mike Foley, Amanda Richardson, Marcus German. For Wisconsin Public Radio, Brittany Williams, Sarah Hopfel, and Steve Gotcher. From the Wisconsin Educational Communications Board, Mike Norton. And from Sinclair Broadcast Group, Syracuse, New York, Vinny Lopez. And of course, our own Chris Shearer and John Perret from the SBE. We also want to thank a special thanks to our national sustaining members who have sponsored and provided generous financial support to make the live broadcast possible. I want to express my thanks to those watching today's webcast and being a part of this year's SBE annual membership meeting. And of course, a thank you to you in the live audience for being here with us in Madison. A reminder to you that the National Awards reception begins in 1 hour in the hotel atrium, and the awards dinner immediately after in Salon E. Those of you on the webcast will make a toast to you. We hope to see you next year when the 56th annual SBE National Meeting will take place in Syracuse, New York, held in conjunction with the Technology Expo presented by SBE Chapter 22 of Central New York. Good day, everyone.
The 2019 SBE National Membership Meeting webcast was brought to you by the generous financial support of these SBE sustaining members. Blackmagic Design, leading the creative video revolution. Comark. Comark provides DTV transmitters encoding and integration for ATSC 3.0. Dielectric, trusted for decades, ready for tomorrow. Drake Lighting, never alone in the dark. DVEO, top-tier broadcast products at excellent prices. JamPro, when you want more than just an antenna. Ross Video, living live. Shively, supporting FM broadcasters for more than 50 years.